Welcome into the Sports Buffoons Podcast. What's going on out there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of the world? Welcome on into the Sports Buffoon Studios here out of Lenexa, Kansas. Once again, back with the trio. I got Tanner Dawson now to my right.
That's right.
And Jason J. Dew to my left. You guys are switching it up on me now these days, and so I don't even know which way to look.
It's all due to the new show. I had to present myself in a new location for the new show on Mondays.
Gotcha. All about changing your ways. So how you guys doing?
I'm doing swell, man. I'm doing swell. I'm looking forward to the NBA free agency, which, you know, NBA is the best season of my life. That's why it lasts almost the whole all year long.
You just had about 9 months of it. Are you not
Not
fulfilled?
enough.
Hey,
it's not enough.
This is actually one of the hottest free agencies in a long
Mike,
time.
I saw the list. I wasn't impressed.
You
I'm
should
not fulfilled. I actually have blue balls right now, so I need a little bit more. I need more. I need some more NBA.
As soon as this free agency is over, you know, is it going to be fulfilled and happy?
Well, then you got Summer League,
get rid of
right?
That blue ball thing.
We have to talk about Summer League.
A free agency
No,
is
no one's doing
far more important than the
one's
summer
doing
league. Okay?
What we have to talk about today that's more important than that is fantasy football. And we'll be digging into that here in just a minute. But also, R. Kelly, guys, we'll talk about this here in a few minutes too, apparently sentenced to 30 years in prison.
Busted.
Speaking of
Busted.
blue balls,
We'll talk about that
That guy's
here.
gonna have
You're
a problem.
going to jail.
I don't know. He's going to
busted,
find ways to
and
get
now
around it,
you're
I
in
think.
prison,
So don't worry about the
busted.
blue balls on
got
him. But
Doing illegal
all right,
stuff.
before we dig into this,
busted.
guys, I want to say one stat for you out there listening right now is that I just heard this on the radio on the way over here, but Tyreek Hill, or not Tyreek Hill, excuse me,
Are we
Patrick
talking-
Mahomes, in any quarterback's first 5 seasons and postseason, he has the most touchdown passes of anyone. He's got 33 touchdowns in his first 5 seasons playing in the NFL. Number 2 on that list is Russell Wilson, who has 22. So it's a difference of 11 total touchdowns between number 1 and number 2. And I just wanted to give a good reason to give ourselves some evening wood about our man Patrick Mahomes, as well as his baby boy on the way.
Yes.
Well done, Patrick.
Patrick Mahomes the third will be making an appearance.
Do you
at some
think
point
that'll what
next
he'll
year.
be named? Patrick Mahomes the third?
I would assume so. Why not?
I don't know. I'm just saying. Maybe they want to break the streak.
No, I'd say no. Why would you break this? You already got the second. Why would you stop at the second? You got to go to the third on that.
You never know, man.
Tanner, what would you do if you had a boy? If you had you were Tanner Dawson the second. Would you then want to call your next son Tanner Dawson the third, or just make up a whole new name?
Nah, since I'm the oldest in the family, I'd say I'd probably stick with the third. So
Yeah.
I think
That makes the
I
most
think
sense.
I would have if I had a boy, which I don't yet. If I had one, I think I'd go with Brandon. That just seems like
Do you like that name?
yeah, Brandon. That's a good name.
Interesting. Well, it's my middle name, and I don't trust it. So, anyways, guys, we're sipping on some drinks over here. I got the Lagunitas Maximus Colossal IPA. So I'll be
Is that good?
sipping on that. It's really good, yeah, and cheap actually. It's kind of weird, but it's really, really good stuff. What do you guys have?
I went with the roulette rye whiskey.
I got my water.
I actually played roulette today, believe it
I
or
got my
not.
water, guys. So don't worry.
Tanner's still drinking the water. All right.
Gotta hydrate.
All right, so here's what we're going to do today now for Fantasy Talk, you guys. You saw the thumbnail. You saw the title. We'll be comparing a few different players here on this list, one from each position. And what's going to happen is we're going to play over-under. All of these players are ranked basically 1A, 1B. So neck and neck in their positional rankings right now as we speak here on June 29th. And so we'll kick it off here with quarterbacks and just go down the list from there. Our first guys I want to bring up over-under is Aaron Rodgers versus Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is actually ranked ahead of Aaron Rodgers this year in fantasy, but just barely, only by a few spots. So I want to ask you guys, between those two guys, who should be the first player chosen, and what's your argument against the other guy being taken ahead of him?
Well, I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers over Kyler Murray. And the reason I say that is because Aaron Rodgers is a proven commodity. And I understand that he only had 4 interceptions last year. And we know that that's never going to happen again. So while Aaron Rodgers is going to throw a handful more interceptions, and I just think that the whole fact that he doesn't have Devontae Adams. I think that's a big overreaction because I feel like Aaron Rodgers is kind of on that same level with a Tom Brady or a Patrick Mahomes, where we don't really care who the receivers are. We know what to expect from a proven commodity like Aaron Rodgers. And so I feel like, he's going to have more interceptions, but it's not a situation where Aaron Rodgers is going to regress. Keep in mind the fact, too, if you're comparing these two guys, Kyler Murray, he's not going to have DeAndre Hopkins for a while because DeAndre Hopkins is suspended. So, yeah, if you're comparing the two guys, you got no Devontae Adams on the one side, no DeAndre Hopkins on the other side for a while. But again, I'm going to go with the proven commodity here. I think Aaron Rodgers will have the better season.
Well, I do have one thing to bicker with you about on what you just said there, because you're talking about Rodgers having more interceptions. Do you mean more interceptions than his previous year or more than Kyler Murray? Because as we know through watching Aaron Rodgers throughout his career, is he's an extremely efficient quarterback. In fact, the last time he had double-digit interceptions was 2010. Kyler Murray did that last year in only 15 games
So
played.
2018 through 2021, he started 16 games each season. His interceptions and passing, it's 4 from last year, 5 and 20, 4 and 19, 2 and 18, and 6 and that's it, 7 games.
So,
yeah.
just to
clarify that. Go
clarify
ahead.
it really quickly, what I meant is that he's not going to have more interceptions than Kyler, but that he would have more than 4 interceptions. I'm comparing it to last year, but I still think that he's going to have single-digit interceptions because that's what he's been known to do.
Yeah.
Always, only twice in his career he's had more than 10 interceptions in his career. So that's pretty amazing stuff. And both of those years happened back when he was in his mid-20s. And obviously now he's 38, and that he just doesn't do that anymore. So that's obviously not in Rodgers' DNA.
Yeah.
But obviously Kyler Murray, still a pretty young player in this league, and threw 10 picks, 24 touchdowns last year. But he's ranked above Rodgers, and clearly this is because of the departure of Devontae Adams. I don't think there's any other reason for it. Tanner, do you have a thought about this?
Yeah, so the only reason he's really ranked above Kyler, Aaron Rodgers is ranked below Kyler, it's essentially because of the whole wide receiver situation and the uncertainty going on that team. But we've seen Aaron Rodgers do this time and time again, where he takes in a new wide receiving crew, ones that probably wouldn't even start for any other team in the NFL, and he makes them look like all-stars and go get a contract, right? Look at MVS. He got on with the Chiefs for a pretty good deal. Devontae Adams got his deal. We've seen it time in, time out. So for me, though, it's kind of interesting. So if you look at the last 3 years since Kyler's been in the league, 19 PPR. This is for PPR points, by the way, guys. So Kyler finished with 285. Rodgers finished with 278. Pretty neck and neck. In the next 2 years, though, Rodgers would take him 378 for 2020 for Murray and 383 for Rodgers, and then 300 last year for Murray on 14 starts and 16 starts for Rodgers, 333. Here's what I'm going with this year, and it's not because of the wide receiver situation in Green Bay. I'm going Kyler Murray as over Aaron Rodgers this year for the fact that this guy has a couple more weapons out there. He's got Hollywood Brown now, who's going to be really implementing the offense. You got Rondale Moore coming into his second year. I think it's going to be big impact. You're missing DeAndre Hopkins. Okay. And this is the biggest reason that
for a few weeks,
but it's going to affect him for quite a few weeks. And it's kind of late in the fantasy season, really. As long as he can stay away from injury, it's going to be his rushing attack that's going to keep him over Aaron Rodgers the entire season. Because the guy, if there's no options downfield, he's going to be able to run the ball. And this guy is fast. We all know he's fast. He finished up with 11 touchdowns in 2020, 5 touchdowns last year, 4.8 yards average rushing last year. And this is a guy that's going to get downfield and get those first downs and possibly sneak in for the touchdowns too. He could have a big year anytime. So I'm going Kyler Murray over Aaron Rodgers this year.
Yeah, I totally get you on that. And the thing is, you're right about Aaron Rodgers helping elevate the players around his team.
He does.
Just because he is such a talented quarterback. And, they added Sammy Watkins, which is going to play maybe 3 games. You got Allen Lazard onto the team right now.
The Lizard King.
Randall Cobb is there, but he's getting older. But I think Christian Watson's going to be the guy that's going to basically be forced to become a playmaker for this offense,
It is.
because basically he's in a situation where he can't fail. I mean, you have one of the most talented quarterbacks of all time throwing you the ball here as a rookie, and basically Rodgers is looking at you like, okay, Sammy Watkins isn't going to play a full season. We already know that. Randall Cobb is getting old. Alan Lazard is what he is at this point. Watson, you're the guy to have to make plays for this team. So
That's part about Christian Watson going to this play, right? Is not only does he have Aaron Rodgers as quarterback, the guy that's a vet who's molded wide receivers, but he does have old man Cobb sitting there, be able to get tips from him, and then Sammy Watkins, who has played with a lot of great players, and he himself has been really great. So, like, there's a lot of good tips and stuff going for Watson that he should be effective. I don't think he's effective early. I think it's effective midseason late. So, I think it's a late bloomer, but he's gonna be the guy. I feel like eventually for Rodgers.
He's in a situation where he just can't fail. Is my point about Watson.
I feel like
but
it's perfect.
Obviously, we're comparing between Rodgers and Murray, and my point is, I want to give kudos to Rodgers for what he's capable of doing, even with the lack of supreme talent that he's had in the past. With all that said, I'm prefacing this because I'm saying Kyler Murray is going to put up more fantasy points this year for your team, and it's purely due to the upside that the receivers can do for him on this team as well, because you got Hollywood Brown added, obviously, now to the roster as a deep threat. Hopkins will be available when things matter in your fantasy league. And Rondale Moore, obviously, is now going to take another step up on the offense. And let's not forget, they added Trey McBride in the draft this year at tight end to go along with Zach Ertz. To me, there's just too much talent there for the Cardinals for Murray to have a, average season as long as he plays every game.
Yeah.
And that's the thing you got to watch for. Rodgers is a warrior. He plays every game. Murray has been known to have to miss games because of injury.
He's only missed 2 games. That was last year.
Yeah, I think it was 14 starts.
14 starts, but
Kyler
he was
Murray.
16 his first year, 16 his second year, and 14 last year.
I guess my thing is, I think with Rodgers, you're maybe playing a safer game, but I think you have more upside with going with Kyler Murray in this situation. Just because I think Murray's looking at between the rushing yards, rushing touchdowns, and then the passing abilities.
Yeah.
You're looking at getting somewhere around 35 to 40 touchdowns total. With Rodgers, it's going to be almost all passing touchdowns, and you're probably going to get somewhere with that team close to 30.
So here's my worry with Murray still. Last year we saw them. So they all went out injured about midway through the season, right? Hopkins was out. Edmonds was out. Murray was out for the few games there. They came back, and it was a different team. It was a different feel. Hopkins ended up going back out for the rest of the season, which kind of killed your team, right? We don't talk about that. So, but it was Kyler Murray, and he looked like a different quarterback without DeAndre Hopkins there. For whatever reason it is, he did not look like himself like he started the first, whatever it was, 9 games. And so it just kind of worries me, as long as DeAndre Hopkins out, this guy may not be effective until he comes back because of what we saw last year towards the end, aka the playoff loss, right? So that's my worry in that phase.
Okay, so we have 2 for Murray and 1 for Rodgers on this, what it sounds like. So, all right. Well, this
We got a comment on the Green Bay.
Yeah, we got the Bodkin Show.
All right, Nick says, as a Packers fan, I'll take Kyler in fantasy, but on field results, give me Rodgers. Fair enough.
I mean, I feel the same way. That's how I'm feeling about it right now. So, all right, next guys on our list, we have our thumbnail, Dalvin Cook versus Nick Chubb. And this is going to be a close call for anyone out there who's doing a redraft league. Obviously, if you're in some kind of keeper where you can keep both of them, then you know what you're doing. Otherwise, if these guys are going to be available on the board, this is a 1A, 1B situation. Problem is, between these 2 players is that Cook has had injury history in the past. Chubb just has a limited share on the field due to the presence of Kareem Hunt. So between these 2 guys, Jason, I'll start it off with you. Dalvin Cook or Nick Chubb? Over under.
Yeah, I mean, you guys know how I always look at injury history. It freaks me out when I look at these guys, but I'm going to take that off the table for right now. When you look at these guys, last year's numbers were very similar, but I look at the fact that Kareem Hunt basically didn't play in half of the games last year. And so I think that Nick Chubb's numbers were a little bit inflated last year because of that. And I think although the Browns are going to rely more on the run this year because of their quarterback situation, we don't really know who's going to start for the first several games. I am going to go with Dalvin Cook in this scenario because I just think that they've got a new coach this year, and he's a little bit more offensive minded. And so I do expect better things from that Vikings offense. And so I think Dalvin Cook's going to see in the end zone a little bit more than Nick Chubb. And I think he has the potential to have more yards just for the fact that you're going to see for the Browns, Kareem Hunt's going to be more involved.
That's fair.
What do you think, Tanner?
So these two are such a toss-up. So I had Dalvin Cook last year. He did pretty well for me. But here's the thing is Dalvin has not played a full season in his 5 years at all. His closest was 19 and 20. He played 14 games. Last year, he played 13. But he scores points like no other in PP or in any kind of point fantasy league because when he's on the field, he's effective. He's on it. This year, they could see a difference, right? New head coach, new offense. Kirk Cousins just had pretty much a career year last year. Justin Jefferson, Thielen are on in the wideouts. Alexander Madison could help this team become make maybe less carries for him, which kind of worries me when we're split backfield because Alexander Madison last year was phenomenal. I'm gonna take Chubb, and the only reason I'm picking Chubb here is Deshaun Watson's not gonna play. They're gonna run the ball, and Nick Chubb, as long as he stays healthy. Granted, this guy last 2 years was a 12 game and 14 games between 2020 and 2021. I still feel like he could be more effective through the fact that he's got Kareem Hunt and who's the other third running back that showed up last year.
Yeah,
I can't remember his name, but
I know you're talking about. I feel like
Chubb's going to be the main guy there, especially in the receiving aspect. 20 receptions last year, 25 targets, 174 yards. He only had a touchdown. I think this year he'll have a lot bigger role in the receiving aspect because Jacoby Brissett's going to be the guy throwing on the ball, or Joshua Dobbs, I guess, if some reason beats it out. But I have a feeling that I love Nick Chubb this year for that fact that he's going to be seeing the ball a lot. He's going to get a lot of targets, and he's going to get a lot of the attempts and the rushing yards. So, I mean, look at Cleveland to run the ball like they should between Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, essentially.
Yeah, that's the one thing you said, targets there, and that's the one thing I see the difference between these two players. Obviously, is that Dalvin Cook does get more receptions, gets more targets overall, and he has throughout his career. And more of the receptions in the backfield feel like they go to Kareem Hunt more so than Nick Chubb, because Nick Chubb is such a great pure runner.
Correct.
But yeah, I think the injury factor does come into play with this situation. But my main thing about why I believe Nick Chubb is the better pick in this situation is because of the upside. And I think that we have not seen the full ceiling yet of Nick Chubb comparative to what we see. I think we've seen the ceiling of Dalvin Cook already just 2 years ago. And I think that these are both obviously phenomenal players, but I think that if you take away Kareem Hunt from the Browns and made Chubb a 300 carry running back, you're looking at 1,800 yards on the ground alone, just in that category alone. You're looking at a guy who would be taken as the RB2 behind Jonathan Taylor this season. And so for me, it's like you never know what's going to happen with the injuries. You can't project that necessarily. But I like the upside with Chubb way more than I do with Dalvin Cook because of obviously the injury problems, as well as we've seen Nick Chubb now averages 5.3 yards per carry for his career. Meanwhile, Dalvin averages 4.7 for his career. And Chubb, strong as hell. We saw him squatting 675 pounds this offseason in a video, and he's got breakaway speed. Not to say Dalvin Cook doesn't. Obviously, he does too. But I think that there's a lot more to be excited about when it comes to Nick Chubb and the consistency issue too of what Nick Chubb presents. So I love both these players. I mean, I told you guys when Nick Chubb came out that I had a half Chubb for Nick Chubb, and I've had a full Chubb ever since that. And so the guy's amazing. And I hope that one day he has a backfield all to himself and he can have a season where he gets, 330 carries just to see what happens. What kind of numbers he could put up on a season like that. I don't want to run him into the ground. I'm not trying to, break Eric Dickerson's record by any means, even though that'd be cool. I just think that, having a huge timeshare in 1 year is fun to watch. A guy put up big numbers and it's exciting to see history be put out. And I think Chubb is capable of being a 2,000-yard running back.
He is.
One thing about this particular debate is like if you have a full Chubb for somebody, you should probably take that guy in the debate.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's what
I
that's
have
why
Chubb, a full
that's
one.
why I took Nick Chubb. I mean, I've had a full Chubb
'Cause
for
I-
him for 4 years now.
You know, I've got maybe like a 3/4 Chubb for Dalvin Cook, and that's why I chose Dalvin Cook. But yeah, it's kind of like it's even here, so we'll see what happens.
Bakken Series says, "Give me Cook for 14 games." And then he says, "Teams will stack the box against Cleveland. Have to be honest with the Vikings," which is fair. There's more weapons there with the Vikings, and they are more of a
Right.
passing offense. But if you don't have Deshaun here, you're going to be
But-
going.
so-
They'll be checking down the running back
And
anyway.
that's obviously assuming that there's no Baker and assuming there's no Deshaun Watson this season. That's assuming that Jacoby Brissett is going to basically be your quarterback all year, and he's not that bad as a QB3. He's
No.
not that bad. I think you can stack the box to an extent, but even guys like Barry Sanders back in the day could find a way around it. And a guy that's as talented as Nick Chubb, you can stack the box against him, and he's still going to get his numbers, still going to get his yards, still going to get his touches when they matter. But Jason and I, you were talking earlier. You feel like Watson might only get 8-game suspension.
I think that's the
you
number.
still feel like it.
I still think that's the number because I've heard
There's
that
so many years out
before Deshaun Watson was signed by the Browns, all of the teams that were in the mix, they were specifically told, hey, before you sign this guy and give him a big bag of money, he's probably going to be out for 8 games. That was the number that was given to these teams. And I feel like however it happens, I still see maybe them giving him 10 to 12 and then he appeals and it goes back down to 8. I just feel like 8 is the number. I don't feel like he deserves that. I personally think he should probably just serve 6 games.
So then we're also assuming Baker Mayfield is not going to play.
Baker
or
already
hold out.
Baker already
He's just-
announced that he's
Baker's
not
done.
playing
because
with Cleveland.
if I'm Baker Mayfield, I'm not playing for this.
no,
team.
he's
I'm
already
not doing
told he's already told everybody that's asked him
Well,
this
here's the
question,
thing
it's not
about
happening.
here's the thing about Baker. Money talks, right? So if I'm Baker
they gonna give him a
Mayfield
5-year
and I'm having a
extension?
conversation with the Browns, if you want to go ahead and pay me an extra $12 million just to play this year, hey, then I might come back to the table. But if they're not going to do that, he's not going to do shit
They're
for
not gonna do
19
that.
million.
But he doesn't want that. He wants he wants the longevity contract is what he wants. And Cleveland's not going to do that because they just signed Deshaun Watson essentially. And it's already broken. The chemistry is already broken, right? And it's not going to happen anymore. Baker Mayfield and the Cleveland Browns are done, finished. It's not going to happen. He'll sit out. He'll pull Le'Veon Bell for everybody knows. So I heard Seattle's possibly in the rumors today. I heard that a couple times. I heard Carolina still. Or
Carolina's going to offer more. Seattle's just kind of waiting for him to get cut, I think.
To me, the quarterback situation be damned. I'm not that worried about it. I think that either way, Chubb gets numbers because either you're going to get more carries because the quarterback situation is so shitty, or you could say they're going to stack the box. Either way, volume equals points in fantasy football.
correct.
And so for me, I'm looking at a situation where either way, it's a win-win for Nick Chubb. And not to say, obviously, Dalvin Cook's going to be any lesser than Nick Chubb, but I just prefer the upside of what Chubb can provide if something goes wrong with Kareem Hunt.
Correct.
Because
Yeah.
at that point, you're the man. You are probably the RB1 in all of fantasy, right there neck and neck with Jonathan Taylor.
And again, when I look at these two guys, it's kind of like apples to apples. They're very even, but I just kind of like the way that Vikings offense is going to look a little bit better.
Oh, they're gonna be
Sure.
good. I like them. Watkins also said full Chubb got Watson in trouble, boys. So be careful.
Yeah. Imagine that if Watson's handing off to Chubb, down the
Ooh,
road.
I like
that'll
that.
be a hell of a thing. Yeah.
Then I'm going 1.5 Chubb at that point.
hmm Yep. Watson would too.
Hey
All right,
guys,
guys.
if you're liking this fancy content, hit the like button or hit the heart if you're on Twitch
Yes.
or Twitter. Sorry, Twitter. Hit
We
the
have
heart button.
Two more positions to go over here. Moving on to the wide receiver list here. I have on my list that I want to talk about neck and neck is Keenan Allen versus A.J. Brown, the newly Philadelphia Eagles wide receiver A.J. Brown. This is a tough call, you guys,
This
because
is really tough.
how do
one.
we project how A.J. Brown plays in Philly? Are we looking at another Alshon Jeffrey type of a player in Philly? Because that would be probably the worst case scenario. We're assuming A.J. Brown's better than that. Or do you go with the old reliable of Keenan Allen? So, and in some ways, my point is can Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown have a connection immediately, make it worthwhile, or Keenan Allen, who is just I think ranked right above him just by maybe 1 or 2 picks at the moment. Go with him, even despite the injury history he's had in the past. So, Jason, go ahead.
I think Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown could have a good, solid connection for the full season. And, if you're just asking me about the player, and at the stage that they're at in their careers, I would take AJ Brown. But for fantasy purposes, and I don't mean to oversimplify this, I don't trust Jalen Hurts this year. I don't think you're going to see any consistency there. Even if he tries to force feed AJ Brown, I do take the guy that I trust in this instance, which is Keenan Allen with Justin Herbert. I think Justin Herbert, we have not seen the best of him yet. I think he's going to be much better. And a lot of people find that hard to believe. I think he's going to take another step forward this year. And Keenan Allen's only 30 years old. I couldn't believe that when I looked it up. Seems like he's been around forever.
Right.
I trust Keenan Allen, even though, as we always said, we don't necessarily look at injury history. Keenan Allen with Justin Herbert, I will take that to the bank every day of the week and twice on Sunday. So I will take Keenan Allen to have the better numbers this year.
That's interesting. So I went back, instead of looking at AJ Brown stats, I went back and looked at Devontae Smith stats because I want to see exactly how he performed last year with
As a
Hurts.
rookie,
As a
keep
rookie,
in mind.
but he was the main target. He was the guy essentially
Yeah.
on the team, right?
And a vastly differently built receiver as well. Keep
Correct.
that in mind too.
Correct. So he had finished with I'm still on standard. Ain't on here. Let me change her to PPR. So I'm doing PPR here. So he finished with 185 points, 10.9 points per game. PPR, guys. It was 8.8 yards per target on 104 targets, 64 receptions. AJ Brown, where does he compare here? Receiving 8.3 last year on 13 games and Devontae had 16. But he had also 105 targets, 63 yards receptions. For the better season, I still feel like there's going to be a lot of chemistry issues there in Philadelphia between AJ, Hurts, and Devontae in that offense. I think I'm going to go Keenan Allen for the guy that who's proven. He has Justin Herbert, who's been established essentially. The guy has been nonstop. Finished with, I don't even have this on PPR again. Finished with 257 last year in 16 games, his first full season since 2019. 157 target. Like, the guy is going to get targets. He's going to be there, and he's going to get stuff downfield. I feel like Keenan Allen's the safer bet, the better bet into play of who'll have a better season. AJ Brown, with his injury history the last couple of years, really, because I've had him the last couple of years. He played 14 games and 13 games. Started 12, started 13. So, and then he gets to play all 16, 19. So I just feel like his back, unless he's still having back issues, or maybe it'll help out having another main target with him, I still feel like Keenan Allen's your guy.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with both of you guys on this one because obviously we're talking about PPR, and that in particular makes a difference and impact on this. And Keenan Allen, obviously throughout his career, has been very, very consistent. We're looking at now 4 100-catch seasons for his career. Could have been 5. He was just only 3 catches off back in 2018. And when you can kind of project that consistency of receptions, then what you're drafting there in, say, the 4th round or so is what you're going to get. And I'd much rather live with a guy that I know what I'm going to get than deal with a guy who has Jalen Hurts thrown to him, which I still want to see a lot more of, and AJ Brown, who has not been a big volume receiver yet in his career. And part of that's because of the way he's built. He's not a guy who's he's a thick-bodied receiver who can go up and make red zone plays and create plays that way down the field. But he's not your guy who Keenan Allen used to be the shallow cross king and was a guy you'd hit underneath and he could do the yak. AJ Brown is not necessarily your yak guy on most plays. I think he's your big body guy to box out somebody and make a catch. The reason I even brought up Alshon Jeffrey a few minutes ago is because I think this is the exact same player as Alshon Jeffrey. And what's funny is now they've both been sent off to
Are you talking about
Eagles.
the Bears, Alshon Jeffries?
No, I'm talking about what AJ Brown I think is going to turn into is the Eagles Alshon Jeffrey right out the gate. and I'm projecting a downturn for AJ Brown's career due to going to this franchise.
That's not good.
So with that said, yeah, Keenan Allen, obviously 30 years old right now at the moment, still playing at a great level. He doesn't put up the best touchdown numbers, which he never has. He's never had more than 8 at any point in his career. But I'm not worried about that. He's going to give you a solid 1,200 yards, 100 catches, and somewhere around 6 to 7 or 8 touchdowns every year. And knowing that, I am very, very satisfied with saying Keenan Allen. So that means we are all 3 for 3 on agreement for this one. So that's our first fully agreed.
It happens from time to
situation.
time. I'd much rather argue with you guys, but it does happen from time to time.
This one felt a little too easy. This ranking right now is just a little too off base in my opinion. But this is, like I said, June 29th, guys. You're probably not drafting until sometime in early September or late August. So things can change and things will change.
I did watch a mock draft last night, Fantasy Footballers.
You watched one?
Yeah.
Oh, Fantasy Footballers, yeah.
They did a mock draft between two of them. And Kyler Murray went in the 7th, and Aaron Rodgers went in the 9th. So just something to notate.
Yeah.
That was kind of interesting.
We'll see it. You know, it's hard this year for our particular league is since we're doing a keepers league this year is like watching mocks. You don't know who's going to be there or not.
So hard.
So it's like, well, this isn't going to matter because I don't know if he's going to be on the board or not when I go to pick.
It's like you got to know where they're going to be still, but at the same time, you're like, it's boring because it doesn't matter to me until
not
this
yet.
round.
Right.
So.
Once our keepers are locked in, then we can have more information to work with.
Yeah,
So
it's tough.
anyways, guys, we have one more position to go over here, and final one is Darren Waller versus TJ Hawkinson on the tight end list. I think currently right now Waller is ahead of him by 1 spot, if I remember correctly, on our rankings here. I just want to see, Tanner, I know you like Hawkinson a lot. You're a big tight end guy. You'd have 3 tight ends at once if you could. But, that's what a lot of guys want. So if you know what I'm saying. But besides that, Tanner, go ahead and give me your argument for why you could think Hawkinson could be ahead of Waller.
So let me run this to you real quick here on why Waller is not the guy. Okay. Fantasy Football for the People, Ryan Larison. He does a lot of great work. He works with a lot of different companies now. I can't even keep track of them all. Rotoballer is one. This guy did an outlook on Darren Waller, and he says 2020-22 outlook. This is what caught my eye. Waller will be back to full strength in 2022, but is no longer Carr's top target. He has a kid 10 with Devontae Adams and emerging Hunter Renfrow for targets in the slot. Right, so those are 2 big guys that came up as it'll be come up for him in 22 versus Hawkinson. What you have Williams, your rookie, who probably won't play for a little bit, right? Because he'll still be injured.
Yeah.
So yeah, Hawkinson is going to be your guy. He did have a kind of a down year last year in his 3rd year. He only played 12 games. Wasn't the top of the crop by any means, but this is a guy that's big targets, 6'5". Born just a day shy of July 4th, guys. So no, he still has fireworks in him. This is a guy that's going to be effective this season with the running game, with year 2 of DMAC. So, he's big 83 targets last year, 101 targets with 16 games under his belt. This guy's going to be a target machine for the Lions next to DeAndre Swift. So, I just think Hawkinson's going to be the most effective. He's going to be the most available, and he doesn't have to contend with anybody really on the Lions either, unlike Darren Waller, who has multiple options now.
Yeah, that's a great argument, Tanner. I like that. So, Jason, do you have any rebuttal on that one?
It's a wonderful argument, but I do want to talk about the quarterback situation for starters. And I hate to use the word sucks on this show, as you guys know. So let's just put it this way. Jared Goff is not a top 20 quarterback in the NFL. We'll leave it at that. Not going to use the word sucks. Derek Carr, on the other hand, he had a really, really great start to the season last year. And they did make the playoffs, even though it didn't kind of pan out how they wanted. But, so the quarterback situation, Darren Waller has a better quarterback. But I think when you look at the Raiders, we're looking at the team's defensive schemes against the Raiders. They are going to prioritize taking away Devontae Adams. That's going to be their number 1 priority. whoever they face. And I do believe that Darren Waller is going to be the guy that capitalizes on that. So when they try to take away Devontae Adams, Darren Waller is going to be the guy. Now, Darren Waller only had 2 touchdowns last year. That's going to kind of go in the other direction this year for fantasy purposes, especially, as I said earlier, you try to take away Devontae Adams. I think Darren Waller is also going to be the guy in the end zone. So I've got Darren Waller at least having 7 or 8 touchdowns this year as well. You look at Hawkinson, he was 583 and 4 touchdowns last year. The Lions have added DJ Chark, Jamison Williams. Obviously, Amon-Ra St. Brown is probably going to take another step forward this year. So, I mean, that's a lot of mouths to feed in that offense. Meanwhile, you also have a shitty quarterback. So,
yeah,
I said I wouldn't tell you he sucks, but I will tell you he is a shitty quarterback. So, give me Darren Waller.
Apparently, shitty is better than sucky in your book and your idea. Okay. Well, I'm not disagreeing whatsoever about what we think of Jared Goff because
not by any means.
Well, hey, he was a Super Bowl quarterback. Let's not forget about that. But that's obviously years ago, and we don't need to get too much into detail about how that ended up. But anyways, guys, my point with that, what Jason actually said, is that it's a difficult thing to project between these two players because we saw what Darren Waller is capable of back in 2020. Obviously, he had about 1,200 yards, 107 catches, and was really tearing up the league. And, a lot of people were saying that he had upside similar to Travis Kelce. Obviously, Kelce in that season had the best tight end season of all time.
Yep.
But Hawkinson, I feel like, has not fully broken out to his potential yet in his career. And a lot of that is being held back because of the quarterback situation. And I'm hoping that at some point this year they can get back on track. I do want to say 2 years ago, Hawkinson was a top 8 tight end in the league in fantasy. And this past year, due to missing a few games, dropped down to a top 15 tight end. So this is a tough call for me. I think I want to give the edge to Darren Waller in this case, just because I think Waller has more upside and more ability, more physical ability than what TJ Hawkinson can provide. Where I think Hawkinson maybe is your guy that you can rely on to get 8 to 10 points a game, but not necessarily have the games where you can blow off the top, and Waller can give you a 25-point game every once in a while. That's kind of the way I see these two players. And honestly, both of them, when it comes to my draft, I probably won't touch either one. I'm not interested in dealing with seeing how Waller bounces back with Devontae Adams and obviously the emergence of Hunter Renfrow. I'm obviously not super excited about taking Hawkinson when he has that quarterback to go along with what the Lions are doing at the receiver position. And I would much rather turn my attention towards a different tight end in the draft. But for argument's sake, that's why we pointed out these two guys. It's because right now they're neck and neck, and Waller is ranked ahead of Hawkinson by a few spots. So I don't think I would even take Waller as a top 5 tight end yet.
And just to be clear, I'm only saying that Waller's going to have a better season. Now, when you look at the ADP of 43, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
No, don't even
Hell
get close.
No. ADP of 43, that's not going to happen. So I just think he's going to have a better season.
Yeah, so
Gotcha.
so the fantasy football for the people, Ryan Larson here, he did put the reasons, his thoughts on it was he's going to see a target dip, Waller will, right? But it's going to go from 9 quality targets per game to probably 6 or 7 quality targets, right? So not much of a narrow down. And it looks like he's currently is being drafted as the tight end 5, which is in back of the 3rd round, beginning of the 4th. So, I mean, if you can get value there in the 5th round of Waller, I'd go 5th. I don't think I'd go before 5th round, though.
Yeah, I wouldn't be touching anything with Waller in that range, in my opinion. I think there's just better value in other positions for those rounds. I'm not going to get a tight end at that spot. Screw that. Just not doing it. You guys know I love wide receivers, and I do the RB0 strategy pretty much every year. So that's the way it works for me, and that includes tight ends. They can screw off until somewhere in the mid to late rounds.
Yeah, and I love the RB0. Tanner actually uses the RB/WR0, and he goes tight end like the first
only tight ends.
4 rounds.
Tight ends
Tanner this year is going to draft.
rounds.
He's going to draft Cole Kmet. He's going to draft TJ Hawkinson, And he's probably going to dig up
Dawson Knox again.
Dawson Knox, and maybe dig up Greg Olson's grave.
Is that a real strategy,
Yeah.
Tanner, where you go RB/WR0 and you just strictly take
It is.
quarterbacks? You either take a quarterback or a tight end in the first 5 rounds. That's what you used to do.
No, what I can do is take the market on quarterback and tight end, and then go out and get my guys.
Here's the thing: he gets all these tight ends, and then he doesn't know what to do with them. They just sit there on his bench for the whole season.
They all get injured, and I have to like do stuff with them. So
Right.
That's kind of a fun thing.
Well-
If you guys ever do any mock drafts, you just want to try it and see what happens.
If Tanner ever wants to win some games, he can come
Hey,
ask
now.
us for advice. But
I've been in the playoffs last 3 years. Calm down.
you mean once in the last 3 years?
No, in the last 3 years.
Every year in the last 3 years?
Yes.
I don't believe that.
You had to pay me 2 years ago.
That's maybe true. You might have gotten third place. I don't remember.
I
I've
don't
gotten a
get
little
any
lucky here.
respect here. No respect.
Speaking of who's not getting lucky right now is our boy R. Kelly, one of Tanner's and Jason's old favorite
Busted.
hip hop rap artists,
Busted.
R&B singers. 30 years in prison now, sentenced here on a Wednesday night for as convicted last year on federal racketeering and sex trafficking charges stemming from his efforts over the years to use his fame to lure victims he sexually abused. With that said, I mean, he's going to be gone for quite a while, but also the guy had some weird songs, weird lyrics.
Look, he had some great ones.
He also was just well known for his pissing fetish. He was always into this peeing thing. That was his big thing. So,
He had his was it Trapped in the Closet series? That was really weird, but it was like I think it ended up being like a 12-part series. I thought that was kind of cool.
I think he had his moment. I like R. Kelly, but I want you guys to maybe give me your best R. Kelly album, song, lyrics. Jason, I'm sure you have a few thoughts on this.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna go with songs here, and it's unfortunate about what happened to him and his convictions and what was going on in his personal life, but I can't really say anything about that. But what I can say is that as an artist, as an R&B artist, and basically my whole life, I've been a huge fan of rap music and R&B. As an R&B artist, he's probably easily in my top 5 of all time. And so, it's very difficult to pick my favorite R. Kelly songs, but he went through a run there from about 2000 to 2004 where he was just pumping out hits like nobody's business. Talk about songs like Ignition.
Ignition remix.
Ignition's remix is probably in my top 3 from 2002. Also like The World's Greatest.
Yes.
2001. I Wish.
Yes.
2000. A lot of people forget about that, but my top 2 will go with number 2. My second favorite greatest R. Kelly song of all time was actually the song Hotel by Cassidy featuring R. Kelly.
Cassidy.
And it's like, who doesn't
my
want to listen
hotel.
to that song, dude?
I still
That's
listen
a
to that
great
dude.
song. I
still
love that
It's a
listen to that
good
song.
way. It's a good way to lure the chicks into your hotel room.
Well,
Just
that's what he was doing.
Just give him your damn room key, right? That's all you got to do.
That's part of what his problem is. He was using his fame to lure them in and then piss all over him.
So that was my second favorite R. Kelly song of all time. Number 1, though, and if you guys have never heard this song, please, I'm begging you, go back and listen to it. From 2000, the Fiesta remix
Yes.
with Jay-Z.
That's such a weird one, dude.
And I mean, it's like it's kind of, it's hard to pick your favorite songs by R. Kelly, but by far, dude, and even the original version of that song, but the Fiesta remix with Jay-Z, that takes the cake
Yes.
for me. My favorite R.
Fiesta.
Kelly song of all
But
time.
like that remix was so weird. I don't know why. Just something about it just made it weird.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, when you throw Jay-Z into any song, I mean, it's going to be amazing. So
Yeah. That's a good list right there. I like that.
I mean, there's so many songs. Same Girl with Usher, right?
Tanner, I want to tell you my lyric. So
Oh,
I
you got a good
like
lyric?
R. Kelly
What do you
a
got?
lot. I think he's an awesome artist to what he's done in the past. But I just have a lyric, and I just want to throw this out here because I agree with all your songs, so I'm not going to steal your thunder on that. But this is from 2007. It's called "Sex Planet" is the name of this song, And I'm just going to read off this.
Oh, that's when he went off the rails, though.
That's the best part.
That was something happened.
We're trying to get weird here. So his lyrics from this song were 10-0, blast off, here we go. We'll be climax until we reach Mercury. Gonna get you so excited once I've tasted your Milky Way. We'll stick a flag on the moon. First couple to ever make love on planet Neptune. And if time allows us, we'll be gone for hours. I won't stop until I give you meteor showers. What do you think he's talking about there, Tanner? And then, girl, I promise this will be painless. We'll take a trip to planet Uranus. Now, I like that last line right there because I try to say it to my girlfriend all the time, and she doesn't want to. So
it's a great pickup line when you think about it.
Girl, I promise this will be painless. We'll take a trip to planet Uranus. If I just use that on my girlfriend, she maybe will be up for it.
Now, you got to find the right girls, but that's a pretty decent pickup line.
But I love that it's called Sex Planet. He talks about all the planets in this song at some point, and it's a great way to fucking talk about the Milky Way and Mercury, all that good stuff. So,
like I said, I talked about that range from 2000 to 2004 where he had all those hits. I think he made so much money that by the time he got around to 2007, came out with that shit. I mean, that's kind of when he started to go off the rails, I think, a little bit.
Here we are 15 years later, and now he's going to prison. So, Tanner, what do you got?
Oh, jeez.
Oh, man. Well, if you guys didn't like the conversation, it's your fault for not tuning out R. Kelly. So I'm just pointing that out. I don't know what else you expect. I Believe I Can Fly, classic, right? Bump and Grind is always a great karaoke favorite. Your Body's Calling. Dude, I go down the list here, but my favorite song actually is probably Step in the Name of Love in 2011. It was the world's greatest album. So which is that one song that you mentioned already.
Yeah.
But my other one that is actually on my Amazon Music playlist that I play while I mow, and it tends to pop up back in 2000, Feeling on Your Booty is probably my second favorite song.
No, I don't remember that one. I feel like I should have remembered about it, but I don't.
Feeling on Your Booty.
I think I was too into Usher at the time.
It's just I mean, the way it is, it's just the melody of it. I like the song. He did really well. So,
gotcha. All right, guys. Well, I'm glad we got that wrapped up.
If it wasn't a copyright, I totally would play it. But we'll probably get.
I want to play all these songs right now. That'd be badass. Just throw these on the live stream and to see what happens, I guess.
Yeah, if you go follow us on TikTok, we can do it.
Oh, there we go. Tanner's going to do a R. Kelly TikTok for the fans for the shout out.
I need to get like stripes or maybe an orange jumpsuit and just do R. Kelly performances.
Hey, whatever fetish you have, man, go for it. That's not my jam. That's all you, man. So
by the way, R. Kelly, real quick, one of the greatest featured artists, like a guy that would feature in any song.
Right, that's what Jason's top two songs were him featuring.
Yeah, his featured songs are amazing. Just so you know, you knew it was fire when R. Kelly was
Fiesta.
Absolutely,
check it out.
Fiesta.
Great stuff. So, obviously, JG, to get you a little more excited, we have a few more minutes left. NBA free agency begins tomorrow, and we have a few guys on the list that are of headline material, I would say. But some of these guys are just role players. Honestly, they're not going to be the game changers, but they're going to be impact players for whatever franchise they land on. I know you guys talk about Jalen Brunson. James Harden, I mean, is that a guy that's going to be available?
He very well could be.
Okay.
He hasn't signed nothing yet.
And then we got some old bums like Andre Iguodala. He's on the list. He's a free agent. Dude. He's retiring?
He's retiring.
Okay, I would too.
He ain't going to hop on here.
What about Miles Bridges? Is there a chance?
That's a guy that's going to be really interesting to see exactly what happens. I heard the Pistons could be making some money after him. They could outbid everybody because they have double the cap room than the next person, which would be Indiana. I think they have 53 mil to spend or something like that. So I heard the Pistons are really interested in Bridges.
I think the most impactful move we're going to see, I think DeAndre Ayton leaves the Suns.
Yeah,
I don't know how it's going to happen. It sounds like he's out because the Suns are not interested in paying him that big deal.
He's gone.
So the Suns are probably going to look to just kind of restart something.
I wanted to ask you, DeJounte Murray trade. What do you think?
All right, well, let's not get too carried away. So first of all, with Miles Bridges, I don't know what MJ is doing over there in Charlotte, but you better do everything you can to sign Miles Bridges, because if you have him with LaMelo Ball, that's your future.
Yes.
So I don't care how much fucking money you need to pay him. You better damn well keep Miles Bridges. DeAndre Ayton, I mean, the
Whatever.
guy, you guys know I don't care. He doesn't shoot threes. So moving on to DeJounte Murray. So we got the Atlanta Hawks have shown some interest, and also the New York Knicks have shown interest in DeJounte Murray. The Spurs reportedly are asking for 4 first-round picks, or if they can't get that, they want 3 first-round picks and some players. I don't necessarily know if that's going to happen. I think the Knicks, and the Hawks probably too. Both those teams are probably stupid enough to offer that. So I think you could see a deal get done for DeJounte Murray. Now, as a Spurs fan, the guy's like 26, 27 years old. He's not going to be around if they,
No.
try to make a run in the next 4 or 5 years or whatever. So, yeah, I'm all for it. I would trade the guy, but he's an up-and-coming superstar. Like, he averaged 21, 8, and 9 last year. So he's on the verge of becoming a walking triple-double. So, even as a Spurs fan, it just depends on what you can get. But DeJounte Murray, I mean, if they can get what they're asking, yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be the Atlanta Hawks or the New York Knicks that
Okay.
try to reel him in.
So as of today at 4:34,
Deal.
Chris Kirschner of the Hawks of the Athletic has the details of the Hawks Spur trade. Hawks get DeJounte Murray. Spurs get Danilo Gallinari, a 2025 first round pick, a 27 first round pick, a 26 swap, and then the 23 Charlotte protected first. So they ended up with 4 essentially first round picks.
So that's a done deal.
That's a done deal. It's done. Now, I want your thoughts here. Can Murray and what's his face help me?
Ask Jason to help you. I'm the NFL guy.
The point guard, the start. Murray, Trey.
Trae Young.
Yes,
Okay, so you just stated he's going to the Hawks.
he's going to the Hawks.
Okay.
So Murray and Young in the backcourt, right, or the front court, whatever you want to say.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Do you
It's
think
perfect.
they're going to get along? Like, do you think that things will happen?
It's perfect because you've got 2 guys that can facilitate an offense.
Mhm.
And I didn't mention the fact that even though Murray is averaging 21, 8, and 9, he's also averaging 2 steals. So I don't really think of DeJounte Murray as a guy that has to be the point guard. He can also play off the ball and play defense. And he's also a guy that's really good on defense. So he can guard the other team's best wing. So
That's right,
yeah, I think that's a great trade for the Hawks. And it also means that since the Knicks did not get him, they're going to go even harder
Yep.
for your next boy,
Yeah,
Jalen fucking Brunson.
they want him. I think Dallas has to do everything they can. They have to sign him, even whatever they have to do. The most amount of money to keep him on, because he's part of that future of the Mavericks, I believe. And if you lose Brunson, you're not going to have money to even deal with the free agency for a superstar, for even a star of that caliber to be able to come on.
I don't think Dallas is going to pay him. I mean,
I don't
he
think so
only
either.
averaged 16, 4, and 5 last year. He's not I think he's a really, really good player.
Yeah.
And I think he could eventually be a star. He's never going to be a superstar though.
No.
Why would you throw out a max contract to him if you're Dallas? It just doesn't make sense. Meanwhile, I think the Knicks are willing to overpay him because, like we just said, they didn't get DeJounte Murray. But the other thing about Jalen Brunson is he's not even close to the defensive player that DeJounte Murray is. So Jalen Brunson, yeah, he's a good point guard, run your offense, very efficient. But DeJounte Murray was the guy they wanted first because he's an elite defender who's basically, like I said, a walking triple-double. So, yeah, I expect the Knicks to go hard after Brunson.
Yeah.
I
It's
just
going to be
don't
$100
think-
million contract. for
Oh,
Brunson.
easily. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
If not
And
more.
I just don't think Dallas is going to pay it.
No, I don't think
no, because
Dallas
they had their
should.
chance to pay him a year ago,
Yeah.
and they didn't do it. So it's like, okay, you miss out, and now you're going to want to pay him double what you were going to pay him originally.
Yeah.
And so in their mind, they're like, okay, no, that's too much.
Dallas should do everything.
But is this going to hold them back to the future? Because obviously they felt like they were pretty close this past postseason, and you have a good thing going right now. They play with high energy. Obviously you got you got what's his name over there, Tanner?
Luka Doncic.
Yeah, Luka
the
over
great.
there running the show. And
Luka the legend.
he's obviously the core of the franchise, but he needs good role players to also be successful. So losing Brunson would hurt for sure
Big
on that
time.
team.
I really do feel like it.
What about Bradley Beal? I just heard today he turned down his potential.
Yeah, he opted out. He declined
opted
the player
out
option.
of the option there, and now he is just free to go anywhere. He's turning 29. Just turned 29.
He can go anywhere, but he's going to resign with the Wizards because he's going to get a 5-year max deal, about $242 million. The guy's going to sign it. He's not leaving the Wizards.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's not going anywhere because they can give him the most money. And unfortunately, you would love to see a guy like that be able to win a championship on a team that is relevant, but it just doesn't make sense for him and his family. I mean, you're not going to turn down that much money.
That'd be a business decision, hard to turn down for sure.
Yeah. So who else, guys? So we have a few more minutes still.
I did want to let you know
Harden
did opt out
okay.
of its $47.4 million player option, but the 76ers and him have recently communicated, and it is a goal for them to re-sign, for him to re-sign with them. So it sounds like if everything goes as planned, he'll be back with the 76ers, and it's not surprising.
So let's talk about the reason why he opted out and he's going to get a new deal. It's because they are desperate to bring in PJ Tucker, because PJ Tucker is the reason why they lost that series. So PJ Tucker was already offered a 3-year, $27 million deal to stay with Miami. But now the Philadelphia 76ers are going to be able to offer him 3 years, $30 million now that James Harden has opted out of his deal.
Yeah.
And so to me, that's the only reason Harden would have done that. And so that's like, I know it's not a done deal yet, but I think you're going to see PJ Tucker in Philadelphia, which is amazing because now you've already got one dog in Joel Embiid. Now you're going to have another dog in PJ Tucker. PJ Tucker has that same mentality as a guy like Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
Not even close as good of an offensive player, but he'll bring that same energy on the defensive side of the floor, and he's a leader. So I think that's what the Sixers need to get over the hump. But, I respect James Harden for, opting out of that, trying to bring in a guy like PJ Tucker. But my gosh, dude, please stop playing like James Harden and go back to being James Harden. You gotta work out, dude, in the offseason.
Well, yeah, and that's something the 76ers, of course, need that we saw in the postseason was they need some kind of role players or somebody that step up there. So that'll be a big signing there if they get PJ. So one guy for the Suns to watch for. I could think the Suns or somebody else gets Anthony Simmons, whatever you want to say, from the Blazers. He got a qualifying offer already, so he'll go back if he doesn't get signed. But that could be a guy that could produce some bench support, some role playing support after a career year last year. So that's a guy that you could also see come into play.
So I'm going to figure out their center situation, because if Ayton leaves and McGee is obviously a free agent right now, and he's also not very good. We have to have a starting center. I don't know where that's going to come from yet. So
they got to blow it up and start over.
It's just going to have to be a big problem, I guess, for another year or two.
Yeah.
Phoenix needs to start over with Devin Booker and just move on, because that team's going nowhere.
And my first question was, okay, does that mean CP3 can screw off? Because if this team's going to suck, I'd rather not watch it suck with CP3.
I think they're stuck with him at least for this year, because there's no way. I can't imagine a team that would take on that contract unless you're going to dump assets, and I don't. That's just not a good option for Phoenix to just give away draft picks.
Well, next week I'm going to ask you about the Clippers, because I want to see if Nerlens actually goes to the Clippers. So we'll see.
There we go, guys. What are you doing for 4th of July?
Going down to Wichita and blowing up some shit. So
Wichita, very nice. Well, JG, what you got on plans?
Probably just going to do some gambling. That's pretty much what I
Ooh,
do on
yeah.
all Christian holidays and
I want-
national holidays.
I
things
want
like
this
that.
to be a great weekend because I want to do some gambling with you. So I want to do gambling. I know the girlfriend has her brother coming into town. He's a really cool kid. So I'm excited to see him again. And he's going to be staying at our house, as a matter of fact, I think on Friday night or whatever. But we'll have that going on. And then I know we have a pool party coming up on Sunday. And then, of course, Monday is the actual Independence Day.
Yep.
So there's a lot going on this weekend. I'm just hoping to go win a few $100 hairs over at Ameristar. So that would be nice to see unfold. So with that said, guys, any final words before we get off here?
I'm not going to Ameristar. I think what you meant to say was Hollywood. We're going to be at Hollywood.
Oh, yeah. We'll definitely be over at
'Cause,
Hollywood.
you know, if people want to see the Sports Buffoons live in action, they got to go to the right place.
Right, the place that we love to gamble at. Hollywood, yeah.
Hollywood Casino, dude.
What a place.
So much to do.
What a place.
Guys, guys, you can catch me on tomorrow. Let's Talk Sports for their 2-year anniversary. I'll be on at 11 o'clock a.m. Central for a little bit in between work, so that'll be kind of fun to do, get away from. Saturday, 11, JG's joining me and Nick Botkins at 11 a.m. We're going to talk some NBA, talk some NFL probably too, so make sure you guys join us. Monday afternoon, we'll have the Buffoons and Botkins show, episode 2 here. We'll have hopefully Charles on, talk some free agency, NBA, NHL for Jim. Maybe some Cleveland. If Cleveland drops some news here, maybe some mojo. So we'll have to see exactly what happens there. And then next Wednesday, catch us back.
Chiefs training camp starts in 3 weeks. So
Did I tell you
am
that when I
excited.
go to Wisconsin at the end of July, I might stop by some Packers?
Tanner's
training
going
camp?
to
Oh,
Wisco.
there you go. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Go to Packers.
Because it drops the week I'm there. So.
Okay. Well, we'll be out at training camp on August 3rd. So
Yeah.
if you guys actually did want to run into some buffoons out there and maybe have a beer at the local bar afterwards, come see us out there and let us know where you're at, and we'll meet up somewhere.
Yeah.
Hey, Tanner, are the Packers going to be packing any fudge up there? Do you know? by
Maybe
chance?
cheese.
I think it's just cheese.
Just cheese.
Just
Okay.
cheese.
You want me to
All
bring you
right.
back some cheese?
They're not fudge packers. They're cheese packers. So
Hey,
Cheese
watch
heads.
your mouth. That's not what I meant.
okay, I didn't know what you were saying. You have a dirty mind. Oh, ridiculous. All right. With that said, you guys, I'm gonna have another little sip over here, and I'll see y'all on the next one.
We're out, guys.
See you guys.